So if we focus in now on India and we look at what we have, obviously India is a huge country. There are many, many different styles of music across India. I mean, literally thousands of different folk styles and different drums and different instruments. But there are two main classical styles, and they are, in the north of India we have Hindustani classical music, and in the south we have Carnatic classical music. Now, across all of the traditions, the folk and the classical, the drums are always, they always have syllables for the strokes on the drums. So, for example, if we look at the tabla from North India, we have the na stroke, which is the high-pitched sound on the rim. We have the ge stroke, which is the open bass sound. Ke, which is the closed sound on the bass tabla. We have tun, an open sound. Te on the black spot, and then we have compound syllables. So ge plus na, for example, becomes da. Ge plus te becomes te, D-H-E, de. So there's a very complex, particularly in the two classical areas, North and South, Carnatic and Hindustani, it becomes a very elaborate way of notating or reciting patterns exactly as they would be played on the drums. Now, once we start to look at the vocalization of this in India, a lot of people kind of just have a blanket term of Konnakol. And it's a lot more detailed than that. First of all, we have to look at what, the different things that we have in India. So, there's drum syllables, there's dance syllables, there's different syllables between different drums, there's syllables that are used that don't actually mean anything, that they're just merely frameworks or poetic recitation. So there's many different sorts. Now I'm just going to have a little look at kind of four of the main types of vocalization that you get in India. Now the first that we're going to look at is Konnakol or Solkatu. It means the same thing. Now, Konnakol is from the Telugu word of koni, which is to say, and kol, which means rule or reign. So kind of the rule of the words, would be a literal translation. And Solkatu, similarly, would translate into soul, meaning vocal syllables, and katu, which is a bunch or a group, so a bunch of syllables. So Konnakol and Solkatu are South Indian terms that you find that describe the vocalizations that you get in South India. Now, of course, as I said, these are very specific in that the sounds, the syllables represent strokes on the drums in many instances. We're going to get into more detail with that, a little bit later on. Now, the next style we have in South India is called Natuvangam. Now, Natuvangam is the vocal recitation that you get with Bharata dance, the classical dance of South India. Now, the Natuvangam player is a very important person in the Bharata dance ensemble of musicians, in that they're pretty much leading the group. And it's a very complicated scenario, and I'm going to demonstrate some of this in a minute. But basically the syllables are playing, reciting what the mridangam player is playing loosely, following the framework of that, whilst they have two hand bells that they play with the hands, which follow the feet of the dancer. So it's quite a complex thing to learn, and it's also slightly different. It's not the syllables that you would find in mridangam, for example, the double-ended South Indian drum. It's a lot more poetic and poetic. That's just the best way to describe it. It's very lyrical and flowing, and a lot of beautification with the words, and it's a very nice thing to listen to. Then if we go to North India, when you learn the tabla, it's like you're learning the Bols of the tabla, B-O-L-S, bolo, which kind of means in Hindi to speak. So you learn the Bols, which is the sounds like the ge, the na, the da, the tun that I was talking about earlier. And then when you string that together and you have passages of rhythm, and you recite that, when a tabla player would recite that, it's called tabla Parant. So Again, this is a completely different thing. The syllables are completely different than you'd find in the south. There are some similarities, some words you find in both, some phrases you find in both, but pretty much it's a very, very different kind of structure. And finally, the fourth thing that we're just going to briefly touch upon is Kathak Paramelu, which is the recitation that the North Indian Kathak dancer would recite. Now, again, this is very different than the Tabla or the Bharata or the Konnakol. Again, very different syllables that you'd find. So I'm just going to take you through an example of each, just so you can hear the difference. Now, this isn't notated in the notes that you have with the lesson, but it's just going to give you an idea of the difference. Because what I don't want to do is people to think like this is all Konnakol, because it's not. It's all very different rhythmic styles.